Hello there. Good late afternoon, early evening, or morning, depending on what part of our world you happen to be in. I'm Craig Peliquin. It's great to meet you. My co-host, Dennis Wilson.
Hello.
And we're here to talk with our MLM Mastermind training. For those of you that have been following us for the past couple of months, great to have you still on board and learning new things every week. Last week, our special guest helped us with our Dirty Little Secrets 2 webinar. That was a lot of fun. We shared some really interesting things. And today, we're going to talk about how to become a leader.
Yes, because I think it's probably the thing that doesn't get talked about enough.
No, it doesn't. You know, we've talked about in the past webinars. Maybe we can kind of recap. We talked about, things to do, get a list and starting with the list and then how to follow up with the list and then how to make three-way phone calls and
how to do presentations.
All the things to get somebody to enroll.
Right.
And then most companies stop there. Everybody thinks in this business, Dennis, that I just enrolled somebody, so my work is finally done.
Thank goodness. They told me I didn't have to do much. Just sponsor a couple of people and I would get rich. So I'm done.
Exactly. And if that's the way you think, we're glad you're here to learn that that's when your life just gets started.
That's right.
It doesn't stop when they sign on the line that is dotted.
That's right. The real work begins once you have a little bit of a team to work with.
So before we go into that, let's, Dennis, could you tell quickly the rules of our MLM Masterminds? Because it's kind of good to have that.
The rules are that there is no prospecting or sponsoring or even saying what company you're with or putting little underhanded digs in the chat box. If you say your company name, we will just kick you out and you're never welcome back. So this is about helping everybody in a generic way, where it's a safe home and it's not everybody coming to try to meet other people to prospect later. So just keep clean. We also don't reveal any companies or associations we have. Well, I do because I sell MLM software. So
you're not in an MLM company.
I'm not prospectable no matter what.
You're not. And this is put on and available because of one of your subsidiary companies.
Correct. Which
is Hour a Day and Small Business Dream.
Yes.
So we will talk about that sometimes because it's actually really cool. And because you're here, in case you didn't know, you may or may not, if you're not already using the Hour a Day platform or the Small Business Dream platform, which is a non-MLM platform, but most likely you're not using that because you're on the MLM Mastermind series of trainings. So the Hour a Day platform, I mean, I was fortunate enough to be able to use it in its infancy stages many, many, many years ago. It helped both Dennis and I become $1 million income earners as distributors in the industry.
Yes.
And then we fine-tuned it you fine-tuned it to the course of millions of dollars of fine-tuning. I mean, it does. I mean, you talk about fine-tuning. I mean,
I should have stayed a network marketer, not run a software company.
And I'm the VP of an MLM company, and I use the software for my distributors because it's the first software that was actually built by MLMers for MLMers.
Correct.
And I'm telling you, when you're going out and doing a networking event, you've got it on your phone. There is nothing better than having that on your phone, because your phone connects to the computer, does all your follow-ups. Actually, if you get somebody's business card, you can take a picture of their business card. We were just talking about that as I'm going to a convention in Vegas, and I'm going to be meeting so many people. Can you imagine how many cards at a convention in Vegas I would end up the day that I would have to manually enter? But thanks to Dennis's software, I just take a picture of it and it automatically gets transcribed by live people.
Real humans. Yeah.
And then the follow-up email that I have already pre-programmed gets immediately sent out to, well, not immediately, within about 60 seconds, 90 seconds.
Wow. We promise an hour, but it's usually very, very fast.
Anyway, can you imagine how cool that is? At the end of the day, I'm in Vegas. I can actually go gambling. I don't sit there and putting on.
You're done by the time you leave the trade show.
So anyways, that's Hour a Day. If you don't have the free version, simply go to this website. Dennis is offering a 1-month free trial. Just go to TWT. I'm writing this down on the side, .bz if you're in America, BZ up here in Canada, .HAD. There we go. I just typed it in. And you can get a 30-day free trial.
Yep.
And that's worth $30, everybody. It's $30 a month for have this program. So this is really nice. And you can share it with your downline.
Yep.
You could share it with people that you're not even involved in network marketing.
Yep.
One of those becoming a leaders, everybody, is when you're reaching out to other people in network marketing. As a leader, make friends.
Yes.
Make friends with other network marketing leaders, because you never know what's going to happen 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road. I mean, Dennis, you became friends when you were actively involved in a network marketing company with another leader in another company.
Yeah.
And you guys made a pact at the beginning. We would not prospect each other.
We didn't talk about new product launches. We didn't talk about new comp plan enhancements. We just talked about, hey, how are you? Where you been? What you doing? How's your team growing? So we never, ever broke the rule of underhanded digs to try to say, man, are you ready yet? And sure enough, for 10 years, we never did. We became very, very good friends.
10 years.
10 years.
10 years you didn't try to prospect each other. You were actually just friends in the industry.
Well, here's how actually wonderful the story is. Somewhere around, I'm guessing about 6 years, the company I was with went broke. And I was given the opportunity to take the top spot in a new version of that company. And I went to my friend and I said, hey, I said, here's this thing that's happened. My company's disappearing and there's this new one and they want me to take the top spot. And he had the exact perfect situation to convince me to come his way. And then I knew how much of a friend and mentor I had made, because he said, there is no way, as much as I would love to have you, that it's the right thing for you to come and join my organization when you have the opportunity to be the top guy in a new one and see what that's like. And then, so I did that. And that lasted about another year. And next thing you know, I'm like, okay, well, now that I got that experience, and and I did end up joining him in his company, and then very quickly realizing that it just wasn't a home for me. But the point is, 10 years, and 10 years later, I believe it was about 10 years before I finally joined him in the business. And then I left that business, and we continue to be friends. In fact, we're getting together for steak this week. So
there you go. So that's part about being a leader, everybody. It's not always about recruiting. Of course, you're out there, you're wanting to promote your business, but you got to make friends first.
That's right.
And sometimes it's so hard when you're not making the money. And I mean, in your situation,
I was making nothing.
He
was making $300,000 a year, and I still had the power to resist and convince him that. And the funny thing is, he responded to a fax. He called me to the appointment with the purpose of cross-sponsoring me. Well, not cross-sponsoring, of reverse prospecting me.
Yeah.
And as soon as he started, I said, wait. I said, you're here because of my fax to listen to what I do. So I said, well, let's go one of two ways. One, you listen to my presentation and you don't tell me about your thing, because that's not why we were here. Or two, let's just get to know each other and skip all the crap, because I'm not joining you and you're not joining me. He picked option 2, and a friendship was born.
There you go. And still friends today.
Still friends today. And that's a respectful way of doing things. So again, part of being a leader, there's a number of things I think that you have to cover when you become a leader. So,
well, you know what, before you jump into that, Dennis, let's use a similar story between how you and I met.
Oh, yes.
Because, really, that kind of fits into the same type of thing of becoming a leader and being coachable, and actually as a leader, not having the blinders on.
Yes.
Because when you and I first met, it's 22 years ago, I was on stage doing the presentation. I had just become car qualified in the company that we were both in. And you came up after a presentation and basically came up, shook my hand. Hi, my name is Dennis. And that was the worst presentation I have ever seen in my entire life. You had inside jokes. It was clicky. I had guests that were there. I didn't get it. I'm never coming back. And what did I say?
Okay, I'll fix it. Come back next week. You'll see a different show. I get it. You're right.
And that was really hard to say, because, when you're up there and you got an ego, and you think, who could ever say that to them? But he was right. I mean, I was open enough, and, my head wasn't so big that nobody could tell me what to do. There was other people that were pretend leaders in the company that you could never say that to.
No. Well, I would have.
But they wouldn't have responded the same way. They would have said, see you later, come back, don't come back.
I got to admit, I was marginally disappointed that you didn't fight back, because I was prepared for war. I had thought about everything I was going to say to you and how it was going to go through your whole crappy presentation. But then you just agreed. So I was like.
And then the next week you came back and he shook my hand and said that was the best presentation I've ever seen.
Then we were on track.
and we've been best friends ever since.
That's right.
Which is really kind of cool when you think about that. You know, there was somebody that he didn't know me. You were a few levels deep, I think, or you were even sidelined.
I wasn't even, yeah, I
weren't even in my team.
No.
So, I mean, it was, you know, I could have just said,
go away.
Go away. I don't care. You're not even in my team. What does it matter?
Yep.
But it did matter to me. As a leader, you need to be thinking about your optics.
That's right.
And I didn't. I mean, I was young. I was like only 25 or 26. I mean, it was, you know, I was young. I was making more money than I ever made. It was a great business. I was driving a free caravan.
Growing family.
It was my first free car. Okay. A year later after them said I got a BMW, but you know, and then years later, the 911, but you know, so there is a lot of perks to the industry of being a leader, but let's start with you sign somebody up.
Right.
Well, no, sorry. You enroll somebody. I used the wrong terminology already.
Right.
Smack me for not being coachable.
Damn. Well, I mean, let's talk a little bit about what kind of things you were doing so that people maybe know the kind of things to avoid doing. So if you're ever in a group situation and you're with a guest, whether it's your own downline or your own sideline, don't run around calling everybody by name and saying, oh yeah, it was great the other night at the whatever and whatever. Don't do that, because it's not a social club. You're there to do business, right? So keep everything very professional. It's like, oh, hey, Fred, could you pop over here and have a little conversation? Because you know Fred has something in common with that person. That's all cool. But when you start getting cliquey and you start talking about things and inside jokes and all of this kind of thing, there's really no possible way that you're going to do anything except make that person feel like this is a bit of a cult. This is exactly what everybody told me it was going to be like. This is kind of making me feel dirty, and I think I need a shower. And away they go. So, I mean, it's really just about staying professional. Don't get cliquey. Don't tell inside jokes. Don't, you know, call everybody by name as they walk by to show how important you are, because the person in front of you does not care.
Right.
Especially if they're not in your downline and they're not your personal recruit. So when you're being a leader, you have to be careful that your people's people are not going to respond the same way to you as your people. So don't do that. Don't get people freaked out.
Yeah, and keep it simple. I mean, remember, everything in our business is about duplication. A duplication is a double-edged sword.
Correct.
So, and that probably that probably gives us a really good segue into, you just enrolled your first person.
That's right. So now what do you do?
What do you do next? And I mean, and a lot of people think, hey, you know what? I just enrolled my first. I'm going to be rich. I don't have to do anything.
Right. Right.
And they wonder why they get no duplication.
That's right. And I think the number one, well, actually, let's very basically reveal the secret up front, and then we'll drill into some of the layers of the secret.
Okay.
So here's the secret. So for those of you that have been with us for 8 or 10 or 12 weeks since we started this, and you've learned about how you need to make a list, and you need to learn how to do three-way calls, and you need to learn how to follow up, and you need to learn how to invite people to presentations.
What? I got to use my phone?
Yeah, you got to use your phone. You got to actually, it's network marketing, relationship marketing, right? It's not do it over the internet marketing. I know it's tough. So we've been talking about all these steps you need to do. Well, guess what? When you become a leader, you have to now learn to teach people all those steps. That's step one to being a leader, is to duplicate. So if you joined the business and when we told you to do your list, you didn't download the app and you didn't do the list, and you're sitting there going, I'm not going to do that, then there's very, 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 very little chance that the person you enroll is going to do it. Now, you did enroll someone, so that's a good thing. You probably won't enroll many unless you did actually do the list. But you need to do everything we just taught you with them. And you need to, as quickly as possible, and this is probably the key, as quickly as possible, you have to evaluate, where are these people at? On a scale of 1 to 5, what are you? 1, just want the product at wholesale. Just a customer.
Yeah.
Up to 5, willing to put a couple $100 a month and some serious time, an hour a day. I'm going to go and kill this thing and teach me, help me, let me do this. Because if you're trying to turn a 1 into a 5, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So you need to duplicate all these things, but at the same time, you need to qualify who's the person that deserves your time.
Right. But and if you don't, and conversely, if you don't give your time to a person that's a 5 and you're trying to spend all your time with the 1s, you know, you've just lost a business builder. So asking the question is really simple. You just enrolled, or during the enrollment process, I'd be asking that question before I enroll them.
Absolutely. On
a scale of 1 to 5, 1, you want to be a customer because your company probably has different product packages and enrollment levels based on their level of interest.
Correct.
Many companies have a fast start package. They have a business builder, something.
They have a small, medium, large.
That'll work. We'll use that. And using that large package is for business builders. A small package, somebody wants to get to be a wholesale customer.
Yeah.
If that's all they want to do, the only reason they would buy the large package is maybe because they want to get the volume discounts. They want to get the products out. I mean, because there usually is volume discounts on that.
Well, if I design the commission plan, there is. But no, not in every company there isn't. Sometimes you're just buying 45 bottles at standard price. But I believe that if you're going to sell a big pack, you should discount it because then it makes sense.
It does.
It's not an MLM thing. It's just the way the world works.
So, but if they're a 1, then let them be a 1.
Let them be a 1. Let them be
really
the best
happy.
1 they can be.
And you know why you want them to? You want to know when they're a 1? Because you got to know where to put them onto your team. And those compensation plans, you know, you're going to put customers in the customer leg.
You're going to have a customers and losers. I mean, a customer's leg.
A what? Customer leg and loser's leg?
Customers and losers leg. Because some people that come to you, they're just going to be losers, and that's okay. It doesn't mean they're losers at everything, but you know, they're not coachable. They're, you know, just all full of themselves. You stick them in the same leg as a customer because they're going to have exactly the same success as the customer. And if you put them over in the customer leg, then you know not to spend too much time with them.
Yeah.
You'll be reminded every time you look at your downline. No, wrong leg. Let's put my focus over here with the people that are coachable, the people who did the list, the people that have gone to the trainings, the people that have adopted the system.
Let's go to coachable. Let's talk about that because I want to jump forward. Now, when you were building your team, you went actually, I mean, you were, when you first start, I mean, and let's talk about this. When you're not a leader, when you're not a leader,
I got rejected.
You beg and you try to convince and you do everything you can to get somebody to join your company. When you get started, you do everything you can to get, look, I'll babysit your kids and I'll drive you and I'll pay your auto ship for you and I'll put people underneath you. Oh, that's the good one. I'll build your team for you. And you say everything you can to convince them. You need to be doing this to be a leader. You need to look at this like you are the president and CEO of a Fortune 500 company.
Yeah.
And that person is now interviewing you, or you're interviewing them
for your job.
For the job.
That's right.
And when they tell you, so let's say you're interviewing somebody and they want to be the head of accounting for your company. They want to be the CFO. And they say, okay, now, Craig, I know this is a CFO job, but I gotta let you know, I don't work on Fridays and I don't use the internet. I can't stand computer software. I do everything by hand, and I get 7 weeks off, for my initial holidays. And you got to pay me $100,000 a year, and you'd be looking at the person going, yeah, next.
Yeah.
But in MLM, we're like,
no problem. Come on. I can work with you, man. I know how to do this.
Gosh,
I just need your $1,300 so I can get that $100 paycheck to pay my rent.
And you've got to think about it differently. Dennis, how different were you when you started making money and started realizing that if they weren't going to follow your rules, you literally, I mean, you were tough.
I made money really, really quickly when I stopped babying babies. You were joining at the top level. You were going to have a list on my desk by the next day of at least 150 people, or I was refunding you out. If you fought me on being refunded out, then I tell you, no problem. I'll put you down in my team under somebody else who will support you, but they're not me. You're not on the A team. And it was just because I was too busy and I was just sick of being sick. I was
being
tired
a babysitter.
And boy, I tell you, I built a strong team. We had 18,000 people in about 4 months. And it was just crazy because I suddenly had almost everyone I was sponsoring was working. It was fantastic. It was so easy. And then I'm like, why didn't I do this? So it takes a little while to get the confidence in that, because usually we're just trying to beg a guy in to get the next paycheck. But if, you know what, I like to think of it this way. Your job isn't to polish rocks. Your job's to go find shiny rocks.
Turn over the rock.
Right.
Turn over the rock.
Yeah. Flip over the rocks.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't try to polish your rocks. Don't try to turn a 2 into an ace. Just go flip through the deck and find your aces. And you can find your aces by insisting upon accountability. You can find your aces by telling them what you expect of them before they join. And then if they don't do it, don't beg them. Let them go.
Yeah, and you were really tough. I mean, you literally with your app with a list, and now you've got that on a really cool app. If you go into you go to Google Play or you go to iTunes and you look for MLM List Creator.
Or just go to houraday.com and click on the MLM Tools link, and it'll have links to all of them.
There you go. That works too. And it did everything that we did back in the day where we had all these, I mean, we had memory joggers and all this stuff to go and try to create your names, all done in a cool little app. And then if you put your sponsor's name and email on the app, as soon as you get to 50 contacts, it sends them an email saying, I just downloaded List Creator and I got to 50 contacts. And it goes at 100, sends another email, 150, sends another email.
So you'll know who's working. You'll know where to focus your energy.
Well, you will. But then you can be powerful like you. If I don't get that first email within 24 to 48 hours,
don't phone me.
I know that you're not coachable.
That's right.
And don't expect me to call you because this is your business.
And don't forget, this would be what you do with the people who come to you saying they're a 5. Exactly. Then it's up to you to decide. Do you want to take the people that say right out front that they're a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or a 4? When I built that big team, I was sick and tired. I was only looking for 5s. So if you said you were a 1, 2, 3, or 4, I just moved on. I just didn't spend any more time on you. I kept turning over rocks, so to speak. So that's the neat part about it is you can decide for you how much you want to chase the 4s and the 3s based upon the quality of people you're talking to, based upon your own confidence level. But the key is whatever you decide to do, you need to have a system and you need to force them to be coachable, because if they're not coachable, it's okay, but you're wasting your time. I got fired by my upline. I used to be really, really, really good at talking when I shouldn't. And I remember going to a presentation and it was a person that was definitely on my chicken list that agreed to come out. So I'm sitting there worried about him thinking MLM is bad. So I just spent the whole time convincing him that it was good instead of letting my upline do all the talking. And that was the last meeting that I got away with that. And this is after I'd probably done this to this poor guy like 6 or 7 times. And he finally says, Dennis, I'm done. I'm no longer doing meetings with you. You're on your own because you won't shut up. I wasn't having a whole lot of success. And so he says, if I do another meeting with you and you do this instead of introducing and telling them who I am and telling my story and then shutting up, I said, I'll never do another meeting with you. Or he said to me, sorry, he'll never do another meeting with me. So from then on, I had a bit of an attitude adjustment. I let him do the talking. And strangely enough, I started to enroll more people.
Yeah, and it wasn't like he was a star and he was your upline, but he wasn't a star of all stars. But his story wasn't your story.
Well, it doesn't matter. If I do all the talking with my prospect, then my prospect thinks it's complicated. If he does all the talking for me and I do nothing, no matter how good I am, I can't lose. Because if he's an idiot, then I just turn around after he's gone and say, sorry about that idiot, but you wouldn't believe the kind of money he's making. But if I do all the talking, then my friend is thinking he needs to do all the talking right away, which means it's hard. I have to learn it. So it sets up the whole duplication thing the wrong way. So as much as you think you're preserving your relationship by doing the talking, you're not. You're putting that relationship at jeopardy.
Sure you are. So other keys to being a leader. So you enroll your first person. You're literally going to take them, as you were saying. So let's just recap.
Rinse and repeat.
Go through the whole thing. You need to start off with a list. Now, if you haven't been watching all of our presentations, go to the ouraday.com site, register in the back office. You'll have all the copies of all the trainings that we've been doing. They're all there for you. And tell your downline about this. I mean, this is a great way for you to build your team. And but you got to start with lists. Have you ever met a 6-figure or 7-figure income earner that didn't have a list of people to start with?
No, I've seen lots of them who made a list and never used it. But the point is they made the list.
And it doesn't mean you're going to talk to everybody on the list. Now, go back to our whole thing on building a list. But building a list it also shows somebody that they're coachable. That's why you made them do it.
Thing. Yeah, I didn't really care about the list, right? Because I mean, they tell me I'm not going to call anyone on the list. I didn't ask you to. I asked you to make a list, right? That was just pure and simple. If they weren't going to make a list, if they weren't going to invest 90 minutes of their time to show me that they're willing to try to figure out this business and work with me, why would I spend God knows how much time trying to turn them into something that they don't want to be?
Right.
So that was my biggest thing. It was the qualification process for me. You're going to join for the $1,000 level. You are going to have list on my desk. And if you don't agree with these terms, you're not on the A team.
Right.
And it was just that simple. And it sounds so crazy, but man, people responded a whole different way than it was begging them. Oh, you don't want to do this? Oh, that's okay. I can teach you how to do it with advertising. You know what? Do your damn list. There, said it.
Tell me how you really feel.
Yeah, I know.
but everybody, it's true. I mean, just think about it from that point of view. If you were hiring somebody to do a job and you had a list of things that had to be done every day, and they didn't do that list, and they said they wanted to do it their own way, would you hire them?
Or think about it a different way. If we're sitting here as $1 million earners telling you we've never met a person successful in this business that didn't start by writing a list, what are you doing in this business if you haven't written a list? Go write your list today. And go to your upline and say, I did a list. And they're going to be like, wow, amazing. So you need to do these things. So if you haven't done it yet and you've been in the business for 9 years, go make your list. Because once you do that, you'll know what it feels like. And when you tell your downline to do it, you're going to be way more convincing because you'll have done it.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that we're telling you to do right now that we haven't done ourselves.
Or that's not in every single MLM book you can buy, every single MLM blog, every single MLM training webinar you can get on. They're all going to tell you the same thing. Make your list because it frees your brain. It gives you protection when the first 5 guys you talk to say, no big deal. I got 200 more, right? And it shows you coachable. So your upline will like you more.
Yeah. And there's an app for that. It's really simple to do. It'll actually go and let you download from your Facebook. It'll download from your phone. It's not a complicated thing to do. Or get out a piece of paper and a pen.
And write a list.
And just start writing down names. You can go in and find memory jogger lists. Go MLM memory jogger list. And I'm sure there's tons of them out there. I mean, who do you do business with?
Buy any MLM book. And there'll be memory joggers in there guaranteed because that's one of the first chapters. Make your list.
Right. So you made your list. Now you got to teach your distributors to do the same thing. Your newbies need you at the beginning. They need to know you're there, but you can't baby them. You got to get them to do the things they need to do. Now your newbie does a list. Now what do you do next?
Well, I mean, let's think about it for a second first. And the key to getting them to do the list is how you approach them to do the list. So when you're asking your people to do the list as a leader, notice that we're not saying do the list because you're going to call from it. Do the list because you need to do the list. It's an exercise. So make sure you're saying that to people. Look, I need you to do the list because A, it's going to show me that you're coachable and you're willing to put some time in and learn how to do the business properly. And even if you're not going to make any calls from your list, the fact that you've gone through it will help you be better at convincing your people to go through the process. Because in the end, if you've written a list of 200 or 300 people, even though you thought you weren't going to talk to anyone you're going to be twisted about 4 or 5 people that you kind of sort of know that are on the list that you think might be safe enough to approach. So the process of doing it is going to change your mind about not calling anyone you know.
Yeah.
And of course, once you experience that feeling, you're going to be far more convicted when you go to your downline and say, you need a list because it's the greatest thing ever. So you got to learn as a leader, you need to learn how to motivate your people to do what you want. So I motivated with a carrot and a stick. Do it, or I'm going to refund you out. Oh, and by the way, here's all the reasons it's good. It's your armor. Learn how to present the idea of writing a list to your people so that you don't get feedback. If you get, I don't want to do my list objection, that's because it came from you.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, and that's the first thing I was told to do. I did a list. You did a list. Anybody in my organization?
I did a list in a spreadsheet. I thought it was pretty cool. I mean,
that was before the internet. That was before apps.
Oh yeah, long before any of that. I did it in a spreadsheet. I think it was Lotus 1, 2, 3. So that's dating me.
There you go. So think about it this way. It's about holding your team accountable that wants to be held accountable.
Correct.
And you're holding yourself accountable to them. Because if you tell them, look, I got to work with the people that are working.
Yeah.
I can only work with so many people. There's only so many hours in the day.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to be doing 3-way calls, who am I going to be doing 3-way calls with? I'm going to be doing 3-way calls with those people that are setting them up with me, that are calling me, that are working with me, that have a list.
That are coachable.
And that's who I'm going to be working with. And who's going to make the most money?
The people who had a list that are coachable.
Well, the people also working with me because I've done this before.
That's right.
Right? So they're going to be the ones that are going to be learning all the things because when they're making that list, and now we're doing all the 3-way phone calls. 3-way phone calls, the person that's setting that up for you, your downline, is the one learning what to say because eventually that's going to go to them. They're going to be the person as the upline doing the 3-way, and eventually it goes deeper and deeper into the organization.
That's right.
But it's got to start with you because eventually you have to duplicate you.
That's right.
You got to create 5 of you.
That's right. Because so if you suck, so is your group going to suck.
That's the problem with duplication. It is a double-edged sword. If you're bad, it all
goes wrong fast.
It does. So hopefully you can learn and be coachable on this. So, that's really what we wanted to talk about here in being a leader. I mean, being a leader is about being a leader, not just in your team, but being a leader in life as well. I mean, you know, if you're in a company that promotes, you know, wellness, you know, and health, get healthy.
That's right.
Yeah, you know, it's really hard to be the leader in a company that talks about weight loss, and that there's many of you out there with different companies that are about weight loss and MLM, and you're overweight. I mean, not
the best testimonial.
It's not. I mean, you know, you should be the best testimonial of your products. So to be a leader, you got to be a leader. You got to be using your products. Believe it. When somebody comes into your house and you happen to have household products or anything like that, your products better be in every room and everything that it could possibly be in use in your house. You know, if you're with a company that has a dish soap or has a hand pump soap, or soap
or sells scented candles or anything or whatever,
there better not be Tide or Palmolive.
Be committed.
You know, like be committed. So being a leader is more than just talking. You got to live your business.
Well, and let's talk about the number one mistake that people make after they take our advice and they start to focus all of their attention onto the one person that said they're a 5 and made the list. So here's the other part about being a leader. You can never let your mentoring, training, working with your downline time exceed 75% of your available time. You must constantly be out there sponsoring new people. Because guess what? As a leader, if you stop sponsoring and go into management mode, what happens to your team, Craig?
Your team seems to go into management mode, don't they?
Yeah, because you know what? As a leader, if there's no guests in the room, that's your fault. Because you should have at very least had a guest in the room.
Yeah, and Barry, we are going to move on to other topics too. Thanks for putting that down there. It isn't about the list. We because you know it's really funny, but just it happens to be one of the things that just people don't do. And you know, but as we go on to other things, if you've got specific questions, Barry, that you know that you want to put down there, that you have about what we're talking about, that's what that little link on the side is for. Type it in. More than happy. We only have about a 5-second delay, so we see your questions as they come up. Yep. So more than happy to help you out with that. So yeah, I mean, you've got to be a leader in many different aspects of it.
You have to stay in motion, because the minute you stop to help your team instead of stay in motion while helping your team, A, your skills start to get old. B, you start to hold all your hopes and dreams in your downline sponsoring someone. You will just end up in misery, 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 because your pipeline is going to dry up because you stopped doing the activities that got you to the point of deciding to be a leader.
And the other thing with that, Dennis, is when you're busy sponsoring, and when one of your downline phones, you have to do a 3-way call, and they can't because you're busy enrolling people. When your company shows who the top leaders enrollers are of the month, you're not on that list month after month after month after month, and they haven't seen. You're not ranking up in the compensation plan. You're not being a leader.
That's right.
Your team looks to you. You need to be. You know, you need to be building your team all the time. As soon as you're back into that management mode, your whole team stops.
Well, then what happens is when that happens and they see you doing nothing month after month, you go from being a leader in their mind to being a guy wearing a pin that used to do it right. And therefore, they'll lose their motivation. So it's really, really speed of the leader. You need to stay on the ball. So I always tried to make sure that 25% of the time I had available was spent actually working on finding new prospects, however that was, whether that was going to the airport and putting cards on windshields, whether that was, you know, going to the football game and putting cards on windshields, putting them on bank machines, putting out flyers, doing faxes, following up advertising leads. It didn't matter. But I always tried to make sure that 25% of my time was spent making new calls to new people and generating new traffic.
Other part about being a leader, Dennis, is being part of every single event and things that are going on with your company. If your company does weekly conference calls, you better be on that conference call every week. You got with
guests,
and you better be on there saying hi. If they do hi's at the beginning, everybody says hi. They better hear hi. This is Craig in Vancouver. If you're you better be on that so that your team knows that you're on that.
That's
if
right.
you're not on the call, then why should they be on the call? If there's a webinar and there's little typings on the side, you should be on there all the time. You know, hey, I'm here. That's a great question. You should be following up. You should be participating after it's all over, following up your team. Hey, what do you think about that great webinar? What do you mean you weren't on it? You know, you should be following up and doing that. You need to be part of every single event.
You need to be engaged. Your team will not engage if you're not engaged. If they jump on and you are not doing anything, then they're going to start to go, oh, well, maybe he's not doing it anymore. Oh, gosh, can I do it if he's not doing it anymore? And all those little demons are going to jump into their head and they're going to stop.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be like, oh, but I only missed one because I wanted to go to the football game. Well, that's not necessarily ideal.
And if you're on social media, it shouldn't be hard to find out what you do. I mean, don't hide. If you are proud of your company, how many times do I go and get onto somebody's social media page and they're prospecting me through either LinkedIn or Facebook, and I go on to their social media and I can't figure out what company they're with.
Yeah, that's again, if you're a leader, you're proud of what you're doing, right? So if you're not proud of what you're doing, that's okay. But you need to get proud about what you're doing. So the key to this whole journey is don't expect that you have all the skills you need the day you join, because you don't. You need to do some self-improvement. You need to work on the things that you're not good at, right? I did not like speaking in front of people, as probably most people don't. And Craig took me under his wing and basically forced me to do it. And after I did it a few times, I got better and better and better. And I think even after a number of years where we never worked together and suddenly you saw me do a presentation,
I was shocked. I was shocked. I mean, it was so much that, talking about duplication and teaching, when I started every presentation, I started off by doing a magic trick. And my background had to be magic. And I start off and I'd borrow a $100 bill. Well, usually it was an MLM presentation, so I might find a $5. And I'd fold it up and I'd turn it into $1 million bill. I say, we're here to learn how to make money. And then I'd fold it back and say, but we haven't done it yet. And I'd hand them back their money. Well, Dennis wanted to learn the trick. He says, Greg, if you told me I got to learn everything you do, you have to teach me how to do the trick. And you did. You spent a lot of hours.
So I got to reveal a secret to everyone. Every now and then, a magician does reveal the trick with the right motivation.
And you were able to do it.
Yeah.
And you got up there and you were able to do the trick. I mean, learning how the trick was done was one thing. Being able to accomplish it and do the trick in front of a group.
That was kind of three phases. Okay, I get it. Okay, I can do it in the privacy of my own home with you coaching me. Okay, I can do it when nobody's watching. And then, okay, I can get on stage and do it and not drop things or misplace things or make trouble for myself during the trick. So, so much like MLM, the first MLM presentation I did was not so good. And they got better and better and better. The first three-way call I did when I was the upline, probably not very good, but I got better and better.
Yeah.
This is a business of learning the skills you don't have and probably forgetting a bunch of bad habits that you already have. If you're very good at sales, you got more work to do than if you're a good teacher. Because if you're a good teacher, you're going to proceed in this business much more quickly than if you're a good salesperson. So this is not a sales job. Yes, you're going to learn MLM secret.
Oh, you're going to learn how to sell.
You're going to learn sales techniques, but they're not going to feel like sales techniques. You're not even going to think they're sales techniques, but actually you are learning to be a proper professional salesperson and coach and mentor to other people.
And to leave you guys with one last thing here, and thanks, Matthew. It's great to see that you're saying after listening to us, you're going to go start another list. I mean, why not? I mean, we redo our lists all the time.
That brings up another thing that's very, very, very important, being a leader. If you are a leader, you are going to use the corporate presentation at every event that you go to. You are going to trust that the company spent a bunch of time on the presentation. And in order to be duplicatable, which I don't think is even a word, but we use it all the time.
It's better than duplicable.
Duplicable, yes. So you need to know that you're on a proven path. So if the proven path sucks, the only way you're going to know that is to do it a whole bunch of times to figure out if it's you that sucked or the presentation sucked. And if the presentation sucked, then you can work with your company to change it. But if you're not doing a presentation that shows pain, logic, prosperity, right? Show them the pain they're in, show them how the life is a bit miserable. There's more mortgage than month, or you have to be able to start with the pain. Then you have to go into the logic of your products and your opportunity in equal balance. If you go out there and you have a presentation, and even if it's your corporate presentation, all it does is hype, best products in the world, best comp plan on the world, best, you're not going to get anywhere with it. So start that. If that's the case of your corporate presentation, then you're going to have to have a higher layer of skill, because you're going to have to paint the pain picture before you start the presentation.
Right.
Because if you don't put people in the position of understanding that they're interested in what you're offering before you offer it, it comes across as just a pitch.
Yeah.
Right.
It's true.
So you have to make sure they understand life is miserable. They might not be able to retire. Their kids need university funds. Everything's kind of miserable. They're probably not going to get a big enough raise. They're, you know, gosh, what do we do? That's the pain. Then you never show just the products, just like you never show just the business. If you're a leader, you show it in balance. You use the tools your company provides so that it stays duplicatable.
Exactly.
And then you up your skills until it works.
And Barry brings up a really good point here. And he asked the question, your business like it was an expensive franchise.
I would, except, I mean, obviously it's the cheapest franchise on the planet.
That's the problem with MLM.
That's exactly it.
You know,
Easy in, easy out. If you spend $100 grand on your Subway franchise and whatever you spend on fitting out the restaurant to get it all together, and you opened and 3 weeks later, not a person came in to buy a sub, would you quit? No, because you are pot committed. In MLM, you put down $1,300. You can probably eat the stuff or drink the stuff or give it away as presents. Pretty easy to just walk away.
Yeah.
So yes, if you treat it as an expensive franchise and you try to qualify your people as if they're buying from you an expensive franchise, you will be more successful.
You'll also be more successful. Having said that, if you enroll people at your top level of the compensation plan,
Absolutely.
compared to bringing them in at the bottom level of your comp plan.
I love it when people, I'm going to bring them at the bottom and then I'm going to upgrade them. Well, why don't you just bring them in at the top and then you don't have to go through that hassle? If you're looking for people that are going to get serious with you and the top end of your comp plan is only $1,000, why would you not qualify them by knowing that they've invested $1,000? Oh, not invested. They've purchased products to the value of $1,000 or services. Point is, if they purchase your top end, they're far more likely to feel some pain if they don't do anything. Yeah. If they purchase your lower end, they're probably just secretly telling you they don't want to do the business.
They're going to duplicate how they came into the business. So you're going to watch your business grow slowly instead of it growing fast.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to see, one person coming in at your top end of $1,000 or 10 people coming in at $100? I mean, isn't it easier to build it and build it quickly? I mean, that's what we saw.
Always.
So keep that in mind, everybody.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a big leader step, right? If you're going to be a leader, behave like a leader. And if you're truly a leader and you're supposed to be headed towards $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month, why are you telling people they can start your business and be successful with $100?
Because you know what? In all my 22 years of doing this, Dennis, I may out of all the tens of thousands of people that probably now I guess hundreds of thousands of people I've seen in teams over the 22 years, I could probably count on one hand the number of people that succeeded, that came in at the lowest level, upgraded, and became a success in the company.
Yeah. The reality is the more you attract already successful, the more success you'll have. The biggest problem is everyone goes after the friend that doesn't have a job. As a leader, you're looking for leaders. They don't have to be great at MLM or know MLM, but you're looking for leaders. You're looking for people that are the best piano players, are the best tennis players, are the best or trying to be the best at something. Someone making $150,000 a year, far more likely to look at your business seriously than somebody making $22,000 a year. So sponsor up, get your stuff together so that you understand that you're not doing a disservice to people. If you're presenting it properly and following up properly, instead of begging and trying to convince people, you're going to do nothing but sponsor less people, but have more success with the ones who you sponsor.
Yeah. So just to recap, Dennis, we'll kind of clear everything up for everybody here. And thanks, Barry. We appreciate your comments and glad you like what you're hearing tonight. It's always great to get that feedback live when we're doing these things. And that's what we're here for. We're here to help you build an income, build a team. We're here to help you find leaders and build leaders and be successful. That's why we're doing this. I mean, there's nothing in it for us here, Barry. We're not part of the same team or organization. We're giving back. We've learned a bunch of pitfalls to avoid over the past 22 years. We've learned what to look for, what not to look for. We've made every mistake there is to make. So when somebody says, oh, you guys don't get it, oh, we get it.
I made all the mistakes at least 3 times. I was thick. I was stubborn. I was obstinate. I didn't listen. I talked too much. Yeah, pretty much everything that should have had my upline tell me to just go away. Well, he did eventually.
I did.
He
told
did
a few times. You know, we've all done that. But you know, it's not. It's like a Big Mac. Okay, I'm going to tell you that secret is really simple. It's like a Big Mac. Okay, it doesn't matter what country in the world you go to.
All right.
That Big Mac is going to taste like a Big Mac. Because there's a secret recipe, there's a formula, there's a system that is the same with every McDonald's in every country in the world. You got 2 all-beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, okay? And you make it the same way every time. So no matter where you go, if I went to McDonald's in Detroit compared to Vancouver and I have a Big Mac, it's going to taste exactly like the Big Mac I had here. You could teach your business to duplicate just like McDonald's did, and then treat your business like you bought a McDonald's and put $1 million in it, Barry.
Yeah.
Right? Then you're committed. You know, then you're going to have success. You got to have a formula. You got to have.
Well, and remember, the key to success in MLM is exactly the same. Whether you're selling shampoo, whether you're selling skincare, whether you're selling automotive additives, whether you're selling life insurance, doesn't matter what you're selling. The formula to be successful is exactly the same. You need to learn how to present the business, learn how to invite to things. You need to learn how to follow up. You need to learn how to help someone do the same thing. It's a simple formula, and it doesn't matter what MLM you're in. The rules apply across the board. Everyone always, I get it all the time with my clients. Oh yeah, but Dennis, we're in Australia, and people in Australia don't like MLM so much. It's much easier to do in the US. I got to turn my vacuum off.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
There you go. Hey, you know what? Life's good when you're a networker and your vacuum just turns on, goes, vacuums the whole place, and comes back.
Yeah. So, you know, so I hear it all the time, right? Well, we're in Australia, so the way you do it is different. And then guess how I fix my Australian clients? By teaching them to do exactly what I taught my North American clients to do. MLM is MLM is MLM. Even in Japan, totally different language, totally different mindset. The keys to success remain exactly the same. So I've traveled around the world, both at a corporate level as well as a distributor level, and the formula is the same. Learn the formula.
Yeah, and your company's going to probably have a system set up for you. If they don't, that's where something like the hour a day that can help you. You've got a great hour a day series of emails that go out.
Yes.
You've got a great training series.
Yes.
So if you're not part of that, go to houraday.com and register for the newsletter. Get on it. The tips that we're teaching on the newsletter Dennis sends out, I have go to every single one of my leaders in my company because it is so important to get that information. Even though it's generic, it works for no matter what MLM company you're with.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And when you can, you systemize and automate and semi-automate what you're doing.
Exactly.
Use the tools if you can afford them. They'll allow you to get it done in an hour a day. Without the tools, it might take you 2 or 3. So that's really the key to the business. Learn how to do it. Learn how to teach it. Become a leader.
And thanks, Andrew. We appreciate you getting some good stuff out of this too. For those of you that are on the webinar tonight, if you have not done this already, it's your first time on here, make sure you register at thehourday.com. Get the free 1-month subscription.
Yep.
If you direct message or email Dennis within an hour of this presentation being finished, he's going to give you an extra hour or an extra 30 days.
Yep.
So that's 2 months free. That's a $60 value. Now, here's the best thing about that, being a leader and sharing. Dennis is gracious enough to offer this for free. This webinar is free. At least right now, it still is.
For now.
For now. And you can use this as a tool to help get not only your distributors successful, but to then interact with other networkers of other companies, because this is generic. So when you meet somebody, Dennis, that says, I'm already focused and committed, don't try to go and convince them that they should join your company and try poking at them. Say, that's great. Hey, what kind of systems are you using? Right. I happen to use a really cool system, and every Wednesday I participate in this great MLM Mastermind webinar. It's completely generic. We leave our MLM hats at the door, so there's no prospecting. It's safe. And these two crazy guys, Craig and Dennis, they've made a lot of money in the industry over the past little while. They have special guests on at least once or twice a month as well. So we don't only have to listen to them. And we can learn some really great tips and tricks about what these $1 million income earners have learned over the past 20 decades, or no, 20 years, 20 decades.
20 decades.
20, yeah.
Wow, do I look that old?
So that's just what we want to share. Use this as a tool to meet more people. You should have your downline on this every single week, because guess what's going to happen?
Free training.
You don't have to tell them to make a list. We just told them to make the list, right? And then you can get leaders. I mean, Matthew, I know who Matthew is. He's been in the industry for over 30 years, and he's going to start making a new list. Now, that's what a leader does.
That's right.
Because how many times do we see a new training, Dennis, with somebody that we haven't seen comes out, and we go,
that's right.
we didn't learn something new.
That's right. Yeah. Or you're reminded of something you forgot.
Yeah, that happens.
It's always worth getting out there and being involved. Because again, the more you're involved and the more you're learning, the more your people will follow you, and they'll get involved and they'll be learning. So I'm
going to leave you with one thing, is because to become a leader, you're going to go through 4 different phases. We learned this 22 years ago. When you start off in this business, and Matthew, you know this, Barry, you know this, Andrew, many of others on there. I only see a few that are talking. The rest of you that aren't talking, same goes for you. We all start off, we are unconsciously incompetent. We don't even know what we don't know in this business. It's kind of like driving a standard for the very first time. Put your hand up if you've ever driven a standard, okay? So we have. I remember the first time. You don't even know what it's going to be like. You get in behind the wheel of a standard. You don't know what you don't know until you pop the clutch and you go and you stall. Same thing happens in network marketing. You make that first phone call and the person says, "Is this one of those pyramids? You're an idiot. You should never get involved in one of these things." And they hang up and you go, "Oh my goodness, I don't know anything." You become instantly, consciously incompetent. Now you know the things that you don't know. And it's kind of like driving that standard. You know, you got to pop the gear, you got to think about it. You got to put it into gear. You got to think about every place the gear goes. Where's first? Where's second? But then slowly, after learning, after being trained, after learning the systems and practicing, you become consciously competent.
Yeah.
Right? Think about every shift. You think about every 3-way call and what you're going to say. You still got your little list of things, and you got some little scripts and things to help you, and you still got it all there in front of you. And then finally, you become unconsciously competent. It just happens. You get into a standard now, even if you haven't done one for a while. You get in, you turn on, you drive, you just go. You don't think about it. You shift, you gear, it's just done, right? You clutch in, you clutch out, you get out of the car. You don't think about it. You know, it's not like when you're on a hill, you're like, "Oh my goodness." Well, still every time, once in a while, when you're on a big hill, you still got to think about it a little bit when you're in a standard. And that happens in network marketing too.
That's right.
There's going to be times where you still got to think about it. But your goal to become a leader is to become unconsciously competent. Right. So we leave you all with that. Hope you got something new. We'll see you here next week. We have a special guest next week too.
Okay.
We do. He's from Calgary. He has been in the industry for quite a while. He's a $1 million income earner, a corporate trainer with his company. His name is Mitz. I'm not going to give his last name, so you guys can't go search him and find out where he's from. But we do have a special guest, and he's going to be sharing some of his things that he does to help build in the warm market.
Oh my gosh, warm market?
People still
oh gosh, that's the list thing again, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be there. Anyways, everybody,
all right, guys.
Thanks for coming on.
Good night.
And have a great day. Bye for now.